What's going on, guys? Army-Firedawg back again, and today we finally have another review for you guys. And today it is actually of the Meze headphones. They're 12 Classics. These headphones go for $79 and are a huge heavy hitter in that price range. Hopefully, I'm trying out a new editing feature, so hopefully it's coming up on the screen here, but if not, I guess you just get to watch me keep talking as I usually do. Anywho, as you can see on the construction, very similar to the 11 Neos, is very, very nice. Unlike the aluminum finish that the 11 Neos have, the 12 Classics have a really nice wooden kind of finish to it. As you can see here, or hopefully I can learn how to do this nice B-roll editing, so you can see it better than what I'm showing you right now. Anywho, but as you can see, it has a really nice wood casing around the drive housing, with, of course, their Trident logo on the back. Moving down to the cable, you have the single universal button mic, which has play, pause, answer, hang up, etc., etc. Unlike the 11 Neos, it doesn't share the same material. It's not a wood accessoried or wooden highlighted microphone. It's just a regular, I guess, a nice plastic mic. Cable is the same material. It feels really nice, but you know, it's honestly what I expect in its price point. It's not bad, but I have seen better. I'm still a huge fan of the flat cables. You have the same high quality plastic material in the cable splitter, again sporting the Trident logo. And then finally at the bottom, it is terminated with your standard 3.5mm jack. The cables are quite microphonic, so when you're walking or doing anything of the sort, you're going to hear the ch-ch-ch quite a bit. Now, when you're relaxing like a chair or couch, where you're not moving too much, it's not going to be a problem whatsoever, but it does present itself nonetheless. Now, moving down to the comfort, and of course, like always, comfort's going to be subjective to each and their own. But for me, personally, I never had a problem with it. They fit in my ears very nicely, and even the weight is not much at all. In fact, to me, they seem to just disappear after just a few minutes of listening to them, because they do not weigh that much whatsoever. The only downside with the comfort is really only when you're sleeping. And that's when, as you can see here, they do protrude out of your ears. So when you're laying on your side, that's pushing in on your canal, which is not that comfortable, at least again for me personally, and I do have slightly larger than your normal ears. Those two things, I really have no issues with the comfort, or even just one thing. It's against each their own, but I never had a problem with wearing these for very long periods of time. Now, as we move down, let's talk about the sound, because that's what everyone wants to hear, that's what people really want to know, and that's what's important about an audio product, am I right? Okay, so starting with the sound, I will say that the 12 Classics, at first I thought it was just going to be a reskin of the 11 Neos. While looking at the back of the box, actually I can show you right here. The frequency spectrums, the 12 Classics are on the right, the 11 Neos is in the black. The frequency graph is like spot on the same, like there's hardly any difference. I mean there's some, but it's minimal. It looks like it was a copy and paste. So I thought it was going to sound spot on similar. It was just a reskin. You have an aluminum or wood. You're paying $20 for an accent. But that's not quite the case. The 12 Classics, to me, I found them to be a much more tamed 11 Neos. The overall sound signature was very, very, very similar. And of course, I will touch on that as I discuss the individual aspects. The imaging was quite similar between the two. If I closed my eyes and really focused on the music, I could visualize the performance, but never once would I ever get whisked away into the experience. But never once did it like force me to close my eyes and to visualize the performance. No, I had to be the one to intentionally seek it out. Soundstage is, again, it's a very close soundstage. It's not suffocating. In fact, I would say it is rather intimate. I really enjoy it. It's not too far out. However, though it is a smaller than, I would say, normal soundstage, the separation is actually quite respectable. As I've said many times, a song I love to use is Pirates of the Caribbean by the Rhapsody Philharmonic. This song is recorded outdoors around a lot of people you have traffic, and then you have just that naturalness of being outside. Also, there's quite a bit of instruments, which gives you different kind of layers. And it presents very, very nicely. And the 12 Classics performed surprisingly well, not just in its price point, but in general. Also on that note, being in the price point, the 12 Classics ability to scale, and what that means is, when I say something can scale, it means when you plug it into like a normal phone, it'll sound pretty good. Now, if you plug it into a designated DAP, like a high-end DAP, like the Luxury and Precision L3, very high-end, or even if you want to go crazy, into a home setup, such as my shit stack here, it scales. The better material or equipment you put through it, the better it will sound, surprisingly well, especially for $79. That's a great investment long-term. So starting with the treble. The treble extends much further than the 11 Neos did. They still do not get harsh by no means of the word, but they have a general increase and then a nice roll off at the top. Now, with that, I really have enjoyed the treble. I was able to listen to Where's My Mind by Maxence Siren, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I love listening to her music. Her piano is wonderful. And on that particular track, it really tests the treble range of a mini headphones. But in that, you really get a nice feeling of the piano. You can just get that energy that's portrayed. Even better so is when you have a very fast-pitched violin. Like I said, obviously I use Lindsey Sterling, but any other violinist you want to use, you really get that energy across that I personally felt was not portrayed that well in the 11 Neos, especially in the upper treble range. Also in the treble, that is no longer there, is the distortion that was present where in that frequency range that the cymbals lie. Now moving down to the mid section. The mids, I don't personally like as much as I did on the 11 Neos. And what I mean by this is, in order to get the increases as they did in the treble range that I just went over, and also in the bass range that I will get over here next in my next segment, I feel like they had the tone down some, make it the mids more neutral. Actually, I will say I think they're even somewhat, and I do mean somewhat, recessed. And with that being said, I did lose some of that very nice characteristics I got with the midsection that I had that I really enjoyed on the 11 Neos. For example, I don't get nowhere near the emotional connection that I did with the 11 Neos. In the 12 Classics, a good song I like to use is Muddy Water by Trace Atkins. The whole song is very emotional. It's a very high, you just feel really great. It's a wonderful Christian song. And you just feel that presence throughout the entirety of it. But with the 12 Classics, it was the detail around the song, like the musical instruments inside the song, was wonderfully represented. Wonderfully represented. But the vocals was okay. That's all I could say about it. So for me personally, y'all know how much I love mid ranges. I just really personally wasn't impressed with the mids on the 12 Classics in direct comparison with their brothers, the 11 Neos. It just was more balanced. In fact, it was respectable. For those of you who do want a balanced sound, you will really find solace in the 12 Classics, which I'll discuss further here in a second. But now moving down to the bass range. The bass, I think, was a vast improvement over the 11 Neos. The bass on the 12 Classics has that same wonderful sound. It's that same slight decay, the exaggeration, a nice slow presentation. But yet, it doesn't have that drop off in that mid-bass section. It continued on. In fact, the punch was actually pretty respectable. I had a frequency the bass drum is. That frequency was more pushed forward, so it sounded or gave us the impression that it's much more bass heavier than what it honestly really is. It's not a bass heavy IM, but it gives that presentation because the certain frequency ranges of like the bass drums is increased. The bass on the 12 Classics, other than having some exaggerated decay, so some of the bass notes will bleed in together, so it kind of gives that lazy presentation to it, which is wonderful for if you want to relax with a more neutral presentation, then you will really enjoy the 12 Classics. Now, to sum up the sound of the 12 Classics, they're a much more balanced headphone that still maintains Meze's warm and slow house sound signature, which is, it's very interesting listening to it because you go from their 99 Classics to their 11 Neos and into this, you're like, yeah, there's definitely the house sound there, but it has a nice little neutralness to it. Some genres that I think really shine with the 12 Classics that I found personally really enjoyed was country music, like older country music, none of this modern stuff that's still somehow called country music. Acoustic is wonderful. I'll actually leave a link in the description box down below of a video of it's just a guitar playing, but it is so nice. And honestly, believe it or not, I really enjoyed Lindsey Sterling's violin playing, the violin dubstep. Now, music I think it will still perform okay with, but not preferably with, is going to be like electronic music still. It's just not as fast as what electronic music needs. Metal's still decent, but there are better IEMs out there for the same price that gives you the more oomph you're looking for. And rap, it does not perform good at all with rap. But in conclusion, guys, of the Meze headphones 12 Classics, they are per their price, a wonderful headphone. They perform wonderfully well for those of you who are looking for a more warmer but still a neutrally warm, if I can describe, IEM that is wonderful to relax to unwind after days of work, or just to enjoy music, not really to dissect every single nitpick of detail. They're very comfortable to listen to, and if you take care of them, I have no worries about them lasting for a long period of time. But if you have any questions, or if you think there's anything I may have missed, please hit me up in the comments down below. I have really enjoyed listening to and replying to all of you guys. My comment box has been blowing up this last week, and I am loving this. I truly do love talking to you, and actually what I love hearing is when you all are communicating with each other, like saying, hey, I've tried this, why don't you try this product out? That's what I'm trying to get this channel to be, is an audio community that we can socialize more. Those of you who aren't necessarily on HeadFi or die-hard audio forum, this is a much more relaxed kind of say, hey, I like this setting, what do you think of this? This is a very relaxed setting that you can ask questions, be truthful about it, never once feel ashamed about your personal budget, price point, whatever. That's not what this is about. I review everything from, again, from $60 IEMs to $1,300 headphone flagships and everything in between. This is about finding the best equipment that works for you. No one, not giving a flying fart what anyone else thinks or cares. They're not what important. My opinion isn't what is important. It is yours. What you like in sound is what is important. The only thing I'm here for, what our community is, I'm trying to get our community for, is to help you find that. And to help, because once you have found that sound, I'll warn you, it's addicting. But anywho, guys, as always, my name is Army-Firedawg. It has truly been a pleasure. But most importantly, please stay safe.